There is a sound that every homeowner knows. It is faint at first, barely there, just a soft tap against the bottom of a cabinet or a quiet drip hitting a basement floor. By the time you notice it, the damage is already spreading. You grab a towel, shove a bucket underneath, and within the hour you are on the phone with a plumber who tells you the earliest available appointment is Thursday, and the bill will start at $200 just to walk through the door. What a lot of people do not realize is that many of the most common household leaks, the ones under the kitchen sink or behind the washing machine or at the joint where two copper pipes meet, can often be handled with a fitting that costs less than $3, takes less than 15 minutes to install, and requires no torch and no soldering. This fitting has been widely used across Britain and parts of Europe for the better part of a century. It is called a compression fitting. And the reason most American homeowners have never been taught to reach for one is not because it does not work. It is because something faster came along and gradually took its place. Let me talk about what actually happens when a pipe leaks at a joint, because the pipe itself is almost never the problem. Copper pipe, the kind running through most homes built in the last 70 years, is remarkably durable. It resists corrosion well, it handles pressure well. A properly installed copper line can last 50 years or more without any attention at all. The weak point is almost always where two pipes connect. That is where the seal lives, and a seal is only as good as the material and the method holding it together. For most of the 20th century, the standard way to join copper pipe in the United States was soldering, also called sweating a joint. You clean the pipe end, apply flux, slide on a copper coupling, and then heat the whole assembly with a propane torch until solder wicks into the gap and hardens. Done correctly by an experienced hand, a sweated joint is strong and lasting. But done by a homeowner without much practice, it is easy to end up with what tradespeople call a cold joint, a connection where the solder never fully bonded, where a small gap sits invisible to the eye and weeps water for months before it becomes a real leak. Sweated joints also require an open flame near wooden joists and insulation, which is a genuine safety concern for anyone working without professional experience. So the industry offered an alternative. Starting around the early 2000s, push-fit fittings gained wide popularity. You have probably seen them at the hardware store. The promise is simple: cut the pipe, push it in, done. No tools required. And I want to be fair here, because good quality push-fit fittings from reputable manufacturers are code-approved in many jurisdictions, tested to specific pressure and durability standards, and for plenty of accessible repair situations, they perform well. I am not here to tell you they are junk. They are not. But there is a material reality worth understanding. A push-fit fitting seals against the pipe using a small elastomeric ring, typically a synthetic rubber designed for water contact. Every elastomeric seal has a finite service life because of a process called compression set. Over time, rubber under constant pressure gradually loses its ability to spring back to its original shape. This is not a manufacturing defect. It is simply how polymers behave under sustained load. The expected service life noted in technical documentation for most quality push-fit fittings is typically around 20 to 25 years under good conditions. That is a perfectly reasonable lifespan for many situations, but it is worth knowing that the copper pipe those fittings connect to will very likely last considerably longer. This is where the compression fitting offers something genuinely different. A traditional compression fitting seals through metal deformation rather than relying on an elastomeric ring. There are three main components: a brass body with a threaded opening, a small ring of soft metal called a ferrule or olive, usually made of brass or copper, and a threaded compression nut. You slide the nut onto the pipe first, then the olive, insert the pipe into the fitting body, and tighten the nut with a wrench while holding the body steady with a second wrench. As the nut draws tight, it forces the olive inward, and the soft metal physically reshapes itself around the outside surface of the copper pipe, metal pressing into metal. The olive conforms so closely to the pipe surface that pressurized water cannot find a path through the junction. Think about pressing your thumb firmly into a piece of soft clay. The clay fills every line and ridge of your thumbprint so completely that pulling it away feels like breaking a bond. That is very close to what the olive does to the pipe surface when you tighten the nut properly. The brass is soft enough to flow into the microscopic texture of the copper, creating a seal that is purely mechanical. It is the same principle that allows a well-machined metal lid on a pressure vessel to hold steam without any gasket at all. When two compatible metal surfaces meet with enough precision, there is simply no gap left for anything to pass through. And because brass and copper sit close together on what is called the galvanic series, which is the ranking of how aggressively different metals corrode when they touch each other in the presence of moisture, the risk of galvanic corrosion between them is very low. They are chemically compatible neighbors. Put steel against copper in a wet environment, and within a few years you may find aggressive corrosion eating through the weaker metal. But brass against copper tends to remain stable across decades of continuous water contact. Here is a number worth noticing. A single brass compression fitting for a half-inch copper pipe, which is the most common size in residential water lines, typically costs between $1 and $3 depending on the configuration. A quality push fit, fitting for that same pipe size often runs between $8 and $15. The less expensive fitting, in this case, is the one whose seal does not depend on any material with an inherent expiration date. That is not a knock against push-fit technology. It is just a useful thing to understand when you are deciding which approach suits the job in front of you. Now I need to be straightforward about the limitations, because there are real ones and they matter. A compression fitting requires more care than a push fit. You need to cut the pipe cleanly and squarely with a proper rotary pipe cutter, not a hacksaw, because a rough or angled cut prevents the olive from seating evenly. You need to remove the small burr from the inside edge of the cut so the olive sits flush. And you need to tighten the nut to the right degree, which for most standard fittings means hand tight plus roughly 1 full turn with the wrench. Over tighten, and you can deform the olive past the point where it seals properly. Under tighten and it weeps. The technique is forgiving once you have practiced it a couple of times, but it does require genuine attention for those few minutes. There are also situations where a compression fitting is simply not the right choice. In concealed locations inside finished walls or beneath floors, many building codes specifically require soldered joints or other approved methods, because those areas are difficult to inspect or reach if anything needs attention later. Compression fittings can also be sensitive to vibration or pipe misalignment. They are well suited for accessible repair points, fixture connections, shut-off valves, and exposed pipe runs. But they are not a universal answer for every plumbing scenario in a house. If the repair involves anything beyond a straightforward accessible joint, or if you are unsure what your local code allows, calling a licensed plumber is genuinely the smart decision. That is not timidity, that is knowing where your confidence matches the complexity of the work. What makes the compression fitting worth learning is not that it replaces every other method. It is that it gives a homeowner a reliable, well-proven option for a specific category of repairs that currently sends most people straight to the phone: a dripping joint under a sink, a weeping connection at a shut-off valve, a slow leak at an exposed basement pipe. These are problems that a patient person with 2 wrenches, a pipe cutter, and a few dollars in brass fittings can often resolve on a quiet Saturday morning without waiting 3 days for an appointment. The reason most people were never shown this is straightforward. The plumbing trade, like every trade, evolved towards speed. Faster installation methods allow more jobs per day, and push-fit technology made the compression fitting feel old-fashioned in the American market, even as it remained common practice elsewhere. The knowledge was not suppressed. It simply fell out of everyday use as the industry moved in a different direction, favoring convenience for the installer over longevity for the homeowner. Some of the most useful skills are the quiet ones. A brass olive seated properly against clean copper, tightened just enough, holding steady year after year with nothing between the seal and the pipe except metal shaped by a few minutes of patient attention. That kind of repair does not announce itself, it just holds. And there is a whole layer of practical pipework knowledge sitting just beneath the surface of what most people are ever shown, waiting for anyone willing to pick up a wrench and learn what the fittings themselves have been quietly proving all along.